Their house was small, their truck was old, and money was always tight. But every single morning, long before the sun even thought about rising, Lucas woke up to the same exact sound, his father's work boots hitting the old wooden floor. There was no snooze button on their life. At 5 in the morning, Lucas was already outside, helping feed the chickens, checking the irrigation lines, and carrying tools that felt heavier than his own arms. While other kids were still dreaming, Lucas was working in the quiet of the morning, rubbing sleep from his eyes as the cold air filled his lungs. School wasn't much easier. Lucas wore the same worn-out shoes year after year. His hands were rough from the work, and his clothes always carried the faint smell of soil. Some kids would laugh, others would just look right through him, as if he didn't even exist. Lucas rarely spoke in class. It wasn't because he wasn't smart, it wasn't confident. He felt small, invisible. One afternoon, after a long, exhausting day in the fields, Lucas finally asked his father, "Dad, why do we have to work so hard when it seems like no one else does?" His father paused, leaning on his shovel, and looked at him. He said quietly, "Because discipline gives you something that no one can ever take away from your belief in yourself." Lucas didn't really get it. Not yet, but every day followed the same rhythm. Wake up early, work before school, study late at night. There were no shortcuts, no excuses. At first, it just felt unfair. Lucas was constantly tired. His friends were playing video games while he was finishing his homework under a single flickering kitchen light. But then, something started to change. It was slow, almost unnoticeable at first. Lucas started finishing his assignments on time. Then, he started finishing them early. He decided to join the school's FAA program, the Future Farmers of America. He didn't speak much during the meetings, but he listened intently. He practiced everything he was taught. He always showed up prepared. While other kids skipped practice, Lucas stayed late. While others complained about the work, Lucas just repeated the basics over and over and over again. Discipline was quietly shaping him, like water carving stone. By his freshman year of high school, Lucas entered a local agricultural competition. Standing on that stage, his hands were shaking. His heart was pounding in his chest. The room was filled with people who looked so much more confident, so much more polished than he felt. But Lucas had something deeper. He had put in the hours. He had done the work. When it was his turn to speak, his voice came out steady. It wasn't loud, but it was clear. It wasn't perfect, but it was honest. He spoke from his own experience. He spoke from those early mornings and from a deep sense of responsibility. He won second place, but it wasn't the trophy that changed him. It was the sudden realization that washed over him. I belong here. From that moment on, Lucas stood a little taller. He started raising his hand in class. He applied for scholarships he never would have dreamed of before. He helped his father on the farm with a sense of pride, not shame. By his senior year, Lucas had earned a full scholarship to study agricultural science at a top university. On graduation day, his father stood in the crowd, his eyes filled with quiet, proud tears. Lucas didn't come from money. He didn't have special connections. He certainly didn't have an easy life. But what he did have was discipline. And that discipline built his confidence, step by step, day by day. So, if you feel small today, if your life feels harder than everyone else's, if you feel like no one is cheering for you yet, I want you to remember Lucas. Confidence doesn't come from luck. It doesn't come from talent alone. It comes from discipline, from showing up when it's hard, from doing the work when no one is watching. And one day, you'll stand tall, not because life was easy, but because you earned your belief in yourself. Because discipline builds confidence, always. Thanks for watching. If this story resonated with you, consider subscribing for more videos like this. See you in the next one.